busy. We'll slow down like in November, December, but like registration numbers are really good. So I'm real pleased. 'Cause the last 2 years the numbers have been down.
Well, which you expected stuff. So.
Yeah, so I'm pleased.
Busy, but pleased.
Thank you. I'd like to call the order of the Milan Area Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Wednesday, September 28th, 2022. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you for those who are attending online. Just want to let everybody know that all board members are present. So we'll start with our first order of business, which is public comment. Just a reminder, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak up to 3 minutes, and I'll give you a 30-second warning, and I'll ask you to finish your thought when the timer goes off. Board members may question speakers, but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who would like to address the board? Is there any public members that would like to address the board?
Andrea Benning. I just wanted to give the board and the community an update on the first Parent Advisory Committee meeting that I went to for the WISD. Our first meeting, sorry.
No, it's, yep.
Our first meeting was on September 20th, and it was held at High Point. The meeting was well attended. There were 16 people from various districts and various other roles in the community that were present. The meeting focused on roles and responsibilities of the PAC, why the PAC is formed, various Michigan administrative rules for special education rules that surround the PAC, and the current PAC vacancies of the districts in the WISD. There are 12 vacant PAC seats out of 20 seats. Milan has 1 vacancy available. And if any parent of a student with an IEP in the Milan Area School District is interested in filling that vacancy, you can connect with me or with Lon Smith, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. I think that the PAC is a great way to make an impact in the special education world, to have input on the needs of students and families, to give advice and feedback on special education policies of the WISD. And additionally, being a PAC representative is a way to network with other parents of students with special needs, to learn about initiatives in the other districts of the area, and to make a difference in your own district. The initial meeting of the 22-23 school year ended with a tour of the newly refurbished High Point School. For those of you that don't know, High Point is a school that is designed and set up for students in the WISD that have complex needs that are not able to be met in the student's home district. The WISD works to have every student receive an education in their home district, but for some students that is not feasible, and High Point exists to accommodate those students. PAC meetings are open to the public. Each meeting has an agenda and a time for question and answers. If you're curious about the PAC and want to check it out, meetings are on the third Tuesday of each month at 6:30. Our next meeting is October 18th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bennick, and thank you for your service. Are there others who would like to address the board?
Good evening, everyone. Rachel Hobbs. I just want to speak about the books with explicit content. I've sat through the last few meetings where it's been uncomfortable for various different reasons, I think, for everybody involved. Both sides have spoken their position, and board members have even commented. However, I don't believe that we've heard from the superintendent on this matter. I've conducted my own research, and I have discovered some very relevant information, and I request that the superintendent respond to me by email of the following questions. Who is the person that's making the selection of the books in the media center? Is that person certified? Has the superintendent received a legal opinion from council regarding this matter? Has the district implemented the most current policies available to it? If so, is the superintendent applying the most current policy available to him? If not, why? And lastly, just thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Hobbs. Yes.
Hi, Lisa Sanders. Smart, pleasure to have in class, supports and helps peers, always participates in class, respectful, kind-hearted, AB honor roll, no concerns, no conferences needed. These are some of the comments on my child's report card over the years at Milan. Even student of the month at Milan Middle School. So last school year, when my youngest child, who's severe dyslexic, was crying and upset because of his report card was all 1s and 2s while his peers were 3s and 4s, my other child whispered something in his ear that shocked him. Really? Yes, really. Later that night, I asked my other child, what did you whisper in his ear earlier? They shared, I do not read at grade level. I was shocked. What do you mean? My kid then shared with me, a while back in English class, the teacher gave the whole class a test. We got them back the other day. Nobody really explained the numbers or what they meant, but mine were much lower than my peers. So I Googled the test name and my score. Okay. I'm 5 grades behind in reading. I immediately emailed the school, the teacher involved, and she did call me promptly. She said, Don't worry, I have no concerns. She's a great student. She has an A in my class. Great. Let's push her through. Just get her to graduation, right? How did I miss this? I have 4 kids, 2 formally diagnosed. I do everything right. The truth is, this district missed it. These walls, these teachers, Milan missed it. I'm sorry. This school is failing our children. Someone needs to be held accountable. This week I got her formal diagnosis back. Thankfully, I have knowledge and know what to do. Dyslexic. My smart one, because they're all smart. They just learn differently. My college-bound student. My child. The golden one that everyone says things come easy. I'm here because I emailed all of you and I got a 2-week delay and I did get an apology for that. I'm here so hopefully other people in this community know they're not alone. There's people like you, and if you have questions, look into them. I also want to note, I love Milan because if I didn't, for so many reasons, my kids would not be here, I promise you that. This is bigger than Milan. It's a Michigan issue for sure, and we all have talked and heard about that.
30 seconds.
It's a United States issue. It's an issue all over. But Milan, we need to do better. Set yourselves apart from the other surrounding schools and at least don't fall behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
Holly Valade. Sorry, that's really upsetting. Although I shouldn't be surprised because I had already heard some of that already, and I guess it's just upsetting hearing it again and seeing the reaction or lack thereof. I'm excited about the Meet the Candidate forum tomorrow night. Hopefully a lot of people are going to be there. Get to just kind of remind myself of what's going to happen. I actually watched the one from 2 years ago with Michelle Heike, Andrew Sislo, and Tom Farrow. It was interesting, to say the least. One thing that it seemed like everybody was very keen on when they were trying to get our votes from the community was how they wanted to reflect the entire community. They wanted to actually represent the entire community of Milan. And I have to say, out of those 3 candidates that ended up on the board, 2 of them are probably the most divisive, the most political, and the most personal about how they actually act on the board. And I can see they're probably making notes on what they want to say during their board comments tonight because they get the last word every time with an unrestricted time limit and no need for someone to turn their microphone off. And that's fine. You can come at me. Tom had no problem coming after Jamie McIlvaney at the last meeting. However, Michelle Heike forgot to add that to the minutes. That's interesting, isn't it? You had a 5+ minute board comment last meeting. 3 of the 5 minutes was about Jamie McIlvaney and let them play, or should you call let them pray. Yet nothing was in the minutes about your majority of your board comment. This community is a mix of political ideologies. We are not all liberal, we are not all Democrats, we are not all Republican, some of us are even independent. However, this board and a lot of the members on it have very strong personal politics that take part in how they handle themselves on the board. That is no longer going to be okay with the majority of the community that do not agree with your politics. We do not think that that's appropriate, and you can see that when you drive through town and you see yard signs. By the way, there would be more if they had been able to order more at the time, but they ran out within days. I'm excited to vote for George Elder. I'm excited to vote for Murphy Payer. I'm excited for there to be diversity of thought on that board on stage right now. I'm excited for there to actually be discussion and people be allowed to vote outside of the way the rest of the board votes. However, we do see that happen once in a while, and when there is someone who votes 1 against 6, we've seen Tom Farrow actually criticize that person for doing so. That should be happening. We shouldn't have a 7-0 vote every single time. There should be discussions taking place. There should be people challenging the way that you think. And if you don't want that, that says more about you than it does about us.
Thank you, Ms. Blade. Are there others? Thank you for your comments this evening. Next up on the agenda is minutes of the regular meeting. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 14th, 2022.
Moved by Kiger.
Support by Farrow.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 14th, 2022. Discussion? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 14th, 2022. Ms. Heike.
Freight,
Yes.
Heike, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Next on the agenda is the Milan Area Schools 2022-2023 course offerings as in attachment A. I need a motion to approve the Milan Area School course offerings as detailed in attachment A.
So moved.
Support by Kiger.
It's been moved and supported to approve the Milan Area Schools course offerings as detailed in attachment A. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Just want to remind the board and the community that this became a requirement for pupil accounting last year, and so this will become an annual approval that we do. The format of this document was discussed and approved by our WISD pupil accounting auditors, and so while it doesn't list every course, it does reference the high school and middle school course catalogs, and we have to keep those on hand for multiple years in case we get any questions on whether pupils were in classes that were board approved. So again, this is really an annual approval. It's a list of all of the courses that we offer in the school district.
Other questions or concerns?
Just for transparency, Mr. Sislo?
Yes.
I just wanted the full board to know that I had inquired a couple of questions, and Mr. Gearbaugh got back on me on some things, and I appreciated his time and efforts on those and look forward to a couple of the answers. And just for clarity for the public, I didn't know as well, Mr. Gearbaugh cleared this up. This is the only form that goes, so the course catalog and all those things are constantly updated by, or I think yearly, correct, Mr. Gearbaugh? By our staff here, and he's looking into a couple of different things for me on those as far as classes being offered and our specials. It's interesting to note how our specials have changed to help reflect how our learning needs have changed as well, so I appreciate that and the flexibility in that. Again, thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh, for your time.
Yep. Are there others? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the Milan Area Schools course offerings as detailed in attachment A. Ms. Heike.
Heike, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes?
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Freight.
Yes?
Motion carries 7-0.
Next on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the change of a date of the December 8th, 2022 meeting as regular meeting as detailed in attachment B.
So moved.
Support by Farrow.
It's been moved and supported to approve the change of date of the December 8th, 2022 regular meeting as detailed in attachment B. This was, right now, this December 8th is a Thursday, and we did have a theater rental that was in place at that time. So we are going to be moving the meeting to December 6th. So that's one of those meetings that we're not going to have on a Wednesday. It was scheduled for a Thursday, but because of that theater rental, we are going to move it to a Tuesday. So the vote will be to move it to December 6th, 2022. Any questions or concerns? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the change of date for the December 8th, 2022 regular meeting as detailed in attachment B. Ms. Heika.
Freight,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Kiger,
Yes.
Macchio,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Pharaoh.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Next up on our agenda in regards to our strategic plan goal around communications and community engagement, we will be receiving an update from Jill Tousley, a member of the committee.
Good evening, everyone. I am very pleased to be the representative for the Ad Hoc Communications Committee at this evening's board meeting. Even more so, I am pleased to be the person that after several months of meeting to let you know that we are ready to submit a formal recommendation to the board on how to improve transparency and two-way communication. That recommendation is for your review and potential application, and it includes 4 items in particular. One is to re-implement the big red chats to address questions and concerns outside of public meetings, which is something you already have started to do. 2 is to improve website organization and usability, making it easier to navigate and to find information. 3 is to create a web-based publication to increase visibility for exciting and important things that are happening within the district that can then also be shared via social media channels that the district manages, including Facebook and Twitter. And 4, to make the Ad Hoc Communications Committee a regularly meeting board committee to ensure that communication continues to be addressed and adapted on an ongoing basis to meet current and ever-evolving needs. This recap that I shared with you in these 4 points is the committee's recommendation in brief. However, they are explained in detail in an 8-page document entitled A Culture of Civility, 4 recommendations to improve school board transparency and two-way communication. And that document will be emailed to all of you following this meeting. So on behalf of the entire Ad Hoc Communications Committee, I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet and discuss the communication challenges that have been faced by our board as well as boards across the country, and for the involvement and participation of the board members who served on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tousley. I do want to echo my thanks, and I'm sure Ms. Freight and Ms. Rosenleacher's thanks, as well as Ms. Landingham, who was on the committee prior to her resignation. Several of the members are here from the Communications Committee, but I do want to recognize them all. As Ms. Tousley stated, this is kind of could be a jumping off point for those people that served on the committee, as it has served fulfilled its charter in regards to providing this recommendation. But although this recommendation has been provided, like she said, there's a recommendation that the committee continue, which we also talked about in regards to our strategic plan. The other thing that came out of that is a district communication committee as well, which we will hear more about as we move forward, which members of that committee will serve on, and will be directed by Mr. Gearbaugh in regards to specific district communication concerns. Like we said, this was primarily for the board, but there were some issues raised by that committee that we thought would be served better by a district communication committee. So I do want to publicly thank all the members of that committee. They did a lot of great work. We sincerely appreciate them attending the meeting, some much longer than we expected. but we do appreciate their work. So we had Miss Debbie Allen. We had Larry Biederman, who's here this evening. Thank you, Larry. We had Jenny Bobbix. We had Alyssa Bolton, Melissa Brown, Joel Iverson, Karen Lambert, who served as the co-chair, who's also here this evening. Thank you, Karen. Linda Moore, Lana Noland, Alicia Powell, who's here this evening as well. Thank you, Ms. Powell. Jill Tuesley, who's obviously here this evening, and Russell Uri. So the committee did a lot of great work. I am very appreciative. I don't know if there's anything else that Ms. Freight or Ms. Rosenleischer want to add as well.
I just would like to echo my thanks as well. It was so encouraging to hear the thoughtfulness of the members of the committee and how we can help to improve communication throughout the district. So I'm grateful to them.
I'm just going to echo the same thanks, and I'm very appreciative of the time and the effort and the honesty in the communications that we had, hence some of our meetings being a little bit long, and your perspectives very much so valued. And I look forward to the, as Andrew talked about, the formation of a district committee, because I think that'll address some of the concerns that we have and help get a little more transparency and communication going on. So again, thank you, all of you that are here and those that are listening. Appreciate your work.
And like Ms. Tuesley said, you'll be receiving that communications plan in the mail, in your email, for us to obviously consider, and then we'll discuss it at a future board meeting. All right, next up on the agenda is back to public comment. So a reminder, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When you are addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning, and I'll ask you to finish your thought when the timer goes off. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who would like to address the board? Any other public comments?
Lisa Sanders again. I've been busy. So Heike said at a board meeting that she parents her kids so they know which books they can and cannot check out. I was at home watching and I thought, well, I parent my kids as well. And my kids know if I get a call home from school regarding cell phone use during class, they would have consequences. So please explain to me why every class these teachers are forcing kids to put their cell phones in a phone hotel. Someone said that this was voted on by the board, and I'm not sure if that's credible or true because I did not get that answer, but if so, that's why I'm here. I strongly feel that my kids should have and will have devices available to them in case of an emergency. I've heard it all. Kids are always on their cell phones. We never had cell phones. We never needed cell phones. Kids are so disrespectful, etc. Well, give the kids a chance. Let them prove they're responsible. Better yet, give us a chance to parent them, as Heike said. We never needed them, but there also weren't school shootings. Kids who do not follow rules, yes, they should have consequences. I have mutual friends with a family who lost their child in a school shooting last year right here in Michigan. I promise you I can get her to come here and tell you she would never send anybody she loves into a school without a landline to contact them. Let that sink in for a minute. So until you guys want to think of other actions like, I don't know, metal detectors, more security, I don't think it's fair for you to strip every child of their phone. When we go to work and we have our phone on us, if that's against the policy, we would get talked to. And a talk to might go to a write-up. And a write-up might go to reprimand. You want our kids to have responsibility and be mature. What happened to a warning and then action? So just like Heike parents her kids on what books she's allowed to do, I parent my kids. Let me flip this a little bit devil's advocate. My children have their phones locked during school hours because, well, I parent them. They can only call me from their phone in case of an emergency. But one of my students keeps messaging me from school that she needs her phone for one of her classes for an assignment, and everyone else is getting the stuff from their phone, and the teacher says they can use it.
30 seconds.
So I'm gonna let you know, no one's taking my kid's phone. None of them. Whoever's watching this, all the teachers, I'll come pick it up every day from the principal's office if they've not broken rules and they're not being disrespectful. Think of other things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders.
Hello again, Rachel Hobbs. This was not planned, but one of my pillars that I've been standing on has to do with school safety. And again, what are we doing to make our schools a harder target? I know that we have a consulting company that's supposed to come in October and do an analysis of all the buildings and make a report. But there were some scary situations that happened the last couple weeks. And there's been no communication from the school to clear up any rumors or to let parents know that their children are safe. And this bodes well with what she led me in here to do. And you know, we need to do something. We can't just wait for the analysis to come back from the consulting company on what we can do to improve our school safety. We need to act now. I've been asking that for a long time. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's forming any committees. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we seeking parent input other than here at the microphone that's disregarded? You know, I get the lip service about the various different meetings you've had with law enforcement, but that doesn't mean anything to me because that's not keeping my kids safe at school. I need to know, I need to see, I would like some action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hobbs.
Janet McFall, stakeholder, taxpayer. So I am told, as I have been told all along, that the high school paras still have no plan, no key to lock the doors to keep their students, which are basically the IEP students and the special needs students, and themselves safe in the case of a shooter. This is shameful. Yes, I know, like Rachel just said, it is going to be addressed in the future, but the fact that a plan hasn't been put in place in the meantime is very telling. And Milan, states that we have priority in safety. I want to see it. And regarding the books that are irrelevant to the education of our students, some school board superintendents have actually listened to excerpts from books and immediately made a decision to have the books removed to protect children. Imagine that, protect children, when they hear the excerpts. And I know Tom made a statement last meeting that doubting that some of us have even read the entirety of books. Just want to say, I don't have to read the entirety of a book. It only takes a small excerpt to know that it's not beneficial to a student.
Thank you, Ms. McFall.
So the public comment at the last meeting, one of the parents got up and was talking about the book Push and how there's several very explicit rape scenes, but she was talking about how important it was that for some reason that be available here, right here in the schools, not just, at a bookstore or on Amazon. And she got a little bit animated. She was really passionate about it. I understand that. I tend to be passionate about things once in a while. And so she kind of raised her voice and she was a little more animated. I completely understand why she did that, because she feels very strongly. The issue I have is this is the same person who likes on social media to say that parents like me are always yelling at you and berating you and assaulting you and abusing you. And yet she was the one who was standing up here yelling. So I just wanted to point out the fact that she was passionate, and I understand that that's why she was acting that way, but it goes both ways. Another person stood up and spoke, and her comment was about the fact that the teacher who was asking kids if they had a preferred nickname to go by, and then asked them if it was okay to use that nickname in front of their parents, she was trying to say that it wasn't fair that there were parents that were concerned about this. She claimed that there was some kind of guideline through the State Board of Education that was put into place in 2016 that therefore justified the fact that this teacher was doing that. So one of the things she asked for is for the board and the superintendent, or the district as a whole, however that would be, for someone to come out and actually make a statement that you guys applaud these teachers who are asking kids to use nicknames, pronouns, and then ask them whether or not their parents can be told of these. I don't believe you guys have addressed that. That would be a great thing for you to use your board comment time for, because I would agree with her on that. I would also love for the district to give all of us an indication of how you feel about it. She seemed to think that it has been in place for 6 years and that a guideline from the State Board of Education is somehow binding or a requirement, which it is actually not at all. It's just a suggestion. But you know, she was making it sound like this is not the only teacher in the district or in the state that is encouraging kids to do this. And if that's the case, and that is the district's position, that they would like teachers to do this, I think it's fair that all the teachers and parents understand that that is your position as a district. That you do believe that this guideline suggestion from the State Board of Education, you view it as a requirement. If that's the case, please tell us. We would all be very interested on both sides of the aisle to know how you really feel about that. She also did say she was very concerned about the safety of the library staff. I've not heard anyone actually say anything specifically derogatory about libraries specifically, library staff. However, I think that's pretty irresponsible, and I think it would be good for everyone to just understand that parents coming up here having a concern about sexually explicit materials in the library is not at all equal to us threatening the safety of anyone who works for the district. Those are two very different things, and I think that's a very dangerous thing to start making comments about us somehow threatening the safety of someone. That is absolutely not what's been happening. She also said that it was defamation and misinformation that this sexually explicit material exists in the library. It doesn't take long to look back at the last several meetings and listen to some of the materials that we've read to you. It is absolutely not misinformation. It is not a false narrative. This content is very sexually explicit. If you guys continue to say it's a false narrative, then we will gladly read it to you again.
Thank you, Mr. Blade.
Andrea Bennick. I'm just wondering if the Zoom input meeting that took place earlier this week is available, or if it was recorded and available to the public to watch. In a flurry of meetings that I had this week, I was not able to make it and completely misremembered the time, and so I would like to go back and watch that if it's available. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bennick. Mr. Gearbaugh will address that in his comments. Yes.
Brittany Simmons. I just wanted to come up.
I'm sorry. What's your name? I missed your name.
Brittany Simmons.
Thank you.
Yes. I just wanted to come up after hearing Ms. Sanders talk about the cell phone concern she has for her child. I wanted to read you an email I actually did send today. It was ironic. I didn't plan to get up. I just came to watch. This was an email I sent to the principal at the middle school today. So crazy, but today we had a bit of a family emergency because my daughter's father is in the hospital. I've been trying to call the school for over 30 minutes with no prevail. I am uncomfortable with my daughter not being able to have her cell phone if no one answers the phone at the middle school. I would not be writing this email if this was not the third or fourth time since my child started attending this school that no one answers the phone for the better part of a half hour or up to an hour. I know that things can get hectic at the end of the day, and I also know that technology is not 100% dependable. With that being said, if we cannot get a hold of the school, I think that parents should be notified that the systems are either down or there's no staff to answer them. I don't really require any follow-up. I'm just hoping that this is something you can have a discussion with your staff about. I don't mean to sound cross. I'm just very frustrated that I cannot get a hold of a facility that has my child. I did get an answer at 2:15. I was transferred to the attendant's office and sent to Ms. Robbins' voicemail. I tried to immediately call back again and no answer. I am now sending this email. I did get a response from Ms. Jasper. She said, I appreciate the email and the information. So I too have had concerns about my child not having her cell phone in school. She is also an honor roll student. And she's a wonderful child. You know, she's never been in trouble for having her phone. And this year I put my trust in the district that if she doesn't have it, and she did just tell me about the phone hotel. I just found out about that last week because I did find some photos on her phone that she had taken in the hallway. And I said, you cannot have your phone in class. That is a rule that the district has put in place. I don't want to see you breaking it. But then today, when I encountered an emergency and couldn't get a hold of the school, I was very concerned. And I do hope that Ms. Jasper addresses it and this doesn't become an ongoing issue. You know, it would be very concerning as a parent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
Jill Tuesley again. I just wanted to share that I had an opportunity to be at the school a week ago for a parent meeting for the theater kids. And at that point in time, the kids had been rehearsing for 3 days only. And I just wanted to share that they are phenomenal. The play is Puffs. And it's about 7 years at a certain school of magic where another very famous magician or a wizard who will not be named because you cannot say that with the copyrights for this play, but 7 years that takes place there. These kids are already amazing. Behind that red curtain there is an incredible set. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at it, but these kids and their mentors have been working incredibly hard to not only rehearse this play, but to build a set beyond absolute belief. So if you don't have November 17th, 18th, or 19th on your calendar, please mark that and plan on attending at least one of these incredible performances. I also wanted to invite all of you to follow the MHS Productions Instagram and Facebook pages. There's a lot of information being shared out there about the theater group, but right now we've been doing spotlights on theater alumni, and it's really fun to see what they've been up to since graduation, and they're sharing little bits and pieces about the impact that being part of the theater program at MHS had on them while they were in school and how that's continued to impact them moving forward. So again, November 17th, 18th, and 19th for Puffs, and please follow MHS Productions on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tuesley. Are there others? I wonder where that applause is coming from. Are there others? All right, thank you for your comments this evening. Next up on the agenda is superintendent comments. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Thank you. The district wants to remind our students and families that applications for free and reduced meals for the 22-23 school year are available by visiting the Food and Nutritional Service tab of milanareaschools.org. We don't want to see any families who qualify miss out on this important support. The district also wants to remind all community members that we offer a free preschool program for eligible families. Eligibility for the Great Start Readiness Program requires that families' incomes be below 250% of the federal poverty guidelines, with priority given to children based on family income. If you have any specific questions about this program or other early childhood programs that we offer, please feel free to contact Lisa Mellinger at 439-5159. Very excited to let you know that several programs in the district received grants from the Greater Milan Area Community Fund. The grants were announced at the third Thursday event on September 15th. We had 4 recipients from within the district. Paddock Elementary School's first grade team received $4,850 for social emotional learning support materials. The Simons Elementary PTO received $5,000 to help conduct student assemblies and other events for the students. Milan area schools received $6,075 for winter attire for students in need, so that we have it if students don't have appropriate winter attire. And the Milan High School robotics team received a $2,000 grant for robot components. I do want to let you know that Molly Goins, the middle school teacher consultant, resigned effective October 7th. That position has been posted. I also want to let you know that Laura Perry, middle school math teacher, resigned effective October 11th. That position has been posted. The Milan Area Schools Board of Education Meet the Candidate Forum, hosted by Milan Area Chamber, is scheduled for 7 p.m. tomorrow night here in the theater. The forum will be streamed and made available on the school board YouTube channel. This is the community's chance to meet and hear the candidates speak about important state and district educationally related topics. The candidates are George Elder IV, Sarah Murray, Murphy Payer, and Betty Rosenleacher. Election day is Tuesday, November 8th, and the polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. At the forum, each candidate will respond to 5 prepared questions in a speech format. Following the prepared responses, the candidates will answer questions collected from the community prior to the event. If you would like to submit a question, actually, that piece is already, the time frame is passed. So the questions are being formulated by the chamber. The district wants to remind our students and families that there are 4 days on the calendar that were half days for students that have been shifted to non-student days. Those dates are October 31st, December 9th, February 3rd, and May 5th. These calendar changes were made to allow for additional professional development for the district's staff. On September 26th, the district hosted a community Zoom input session regarding the return to in-person instruction and continuity of services plan. This plan is required under ESSER 3 funding requirements, even though Milan has been providing in-person instruction for over a year. The plan must be revised anytime changes are made, or at least every 6 months. At this time, the plan, the video of the meeting on Monday, and the presentation given on Monday are available in the current topics section of milanareaschools.org. The district has also scheduled 2 other community Zoom input sessions that will allow us to meet the 6-month criteria. Again, there could be additional meetings scheduled if changes need to be made prior to these dates, but there are meetings scheduled for Tuesday, March 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. and Tuesday, September 14th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Again, those dates are on the calendar. They are also part of the plan, which is available on the district's website. I'm not sure exactly what happened with the middle school phones today, but I apologize, and I will look into that situation. I do want to tell everyone, if you are trying to contact a building and you cannot get through, do not hesitate to call 439-5050. That's the district office. We will make sure to contact the office through some other means, by cell phone to the principal or whatever we need to do. So please don't hesitate. If you can't get through to an individual building because maybe they're on the phone or there's something that's keeping them away from the phone, please don't hesitate to call 439-5050, and we will make sure to get your message to the individual building. Last thing I want to do is give an update on pupil count. This year's preliminary budget was built on a pupil count of 1,900 students. Our February 2022 count was 1,911 students. That makes up 10% of the blended count. The current projected count for this October is 1,896 students. That gives us a blended count of 1,897 and a half students. So we are within about 2.5 students of what we built our preliminary budget on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yerbaugh. Mr. McMahon is excused this evening. Brings us to board member comments.
Mr. Sislo,
Mr. Farrell.
I have a very brief finance update. So as stated at the last meeting, the district's financial audit is ongoing. A first reading of the financial audit will be presented during the October 12th board meeting. As all of you know, the district is now in fiscal year 23, and ESSER funds have been included in our budget assumptions. However, FY 24 and beyond, we will no longer have ESSER funds. As a result, and at a minimum, we will need to be mindful of our pupil counts for future budget purposes. In addition, and in my opinion, there is also the potential for an economic slowdown at some point in the future. Should an economic downturn transpire, state funding calculations for fiscal year 24 and beyond to school districts across Michigan could be different than what they are today. And then I just want to indicate that this past fiscal year, it appears that we will deplete our fund balance by approximately $1.1 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Others?
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Freight.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Mrs. Bennick for being there for her PAC representation. I know going up to those meetings is always entertaining. And I got to go up when they did the ribbon cutting ceremony of High Point, so it is a really fascinating facility to go through and see, especially for our extremely needy students. So it's really nice that we have that. And if anyone has the opportunity, pretty sure the doors are fairly open afterwards. You can make appointments or check in with Mrs. Bennick because it is a phenomenal facility to see. It was well overdue in being needed, and they have done a great job doing that. So thank you for being our representation. I hope you find a counterpart. Maybe we can help you with that. I also want to thank the community and our staff for the emails and invitations that we received. I appreciate the opportunity to be involved. I received an invitation and was unable to go to the third Thursday. Mr. Gearbaugh was there. So it's really great to know that we received the grants. Also, sport banquets, the board was invited. It's really nice to know that our athletes are acknowledging their staff of all levels. And also hearing from the community with emails, we do receive them, and your phone calls and just in person. It is incredibly important to have your communication. And I'm also appreciate the opportunity to help. I got to be able to make popcorn in the football stand, which was kind of nice. So it's great to be out there and see our community as a whole helping and supporting our kids. And I look forward to seeing Puffs. We have some phenomenal theater folks up in the top as well as out here on the stage that have enjoyed several different plays, so that sounds great. I also want to give a shout out to all of our fall athletes as they represent our Milan and thank our community that backs them because as many of us have known, it takes a village, and Milan definitely pours their heart out and on our students. So I appreciate all of the efforts of not just our kids being out there representing the Big Reds, but our families and their support throughout. So thank you, Mr. Sislo.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Others?
Yeah, go. I just have a couple of things. I did attend the Continuity of Learning meeting that Brian had, the Zoom, and it was a very tiny crowd, but I did want to thank our participants for voicing your opinions and giving some good suggestions about that, so thanks for attending. I know it's busy when school starts, so I appreciate you taking that time, and Brian, you did a great job on that. I did want to thank again the Communications Committee, both our board representatives and our community, because that has been a huge time commitment, and like many people have said, we truly appreciate that and appreciate all the people making that a priority and having some really productive conversations about how we can improve that part of our board work. And I always want to give a shout out to our community foundation because I've worked with them on some fundraising over the years, and I know my my girls have benefited from the work that they do in this community, and it is an inspiring group of people who are so incredibly dedicated to just making our entire community better and representing all types of groups and interests, and it's just wonderful what they are able to pull off. Every year, I'm just astounded by that. So thanks for those grants. And, most of you probably know that they give out a tremendous amount of money in scholarships to our kids as well. So much appreciated. And I just wanted to, ahead of time, just thank the Chamber for managing the candidate forum for tomorrow night, because I know that was a lot to take on, and we appreciate their input and hard work to make that a smooth event, I'm sure, for tomorrow night. We're looking forward to that. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Macchio. I just have a couple things. The Big Red Board Chats, they are going to continue. We'll do them, we're at a quarterly schedule. The next one we are looking to have on January 17th, 2023, which is a Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. Well, hopefully that does work out, but that's what we're looking at. It was also suggested that potentially we would look at a Saturday, with weekdays being busy. So that's something that we're looking at for our future schedule as well. The student school board reps, so Allie Molina has agreed to continue to be our student board rep, and Mr. Shin is sending out the application to the juniors for a junior representative. So look forward for those student school board members to be present with us. Their input is always very important. I do want to echo what Ms. Freight spoke about in regards to the invites that we receive from many different people and groups. We appreciate them. Continue, keep them coming. We've gotten invites from tennis. We got invites from swimming. We get invites from various teachers to read and other things within the district. It helps us understand all the things that are going on within the district, and we appreciate those invitations, and we will definitely try to attend as we are able. So we appreciate those invitations. That's all I have at this time.
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Freight.
I just received a note, and I wanted to make sure because I had tried to include it. I will be up at the WISD. We did not have a fall legislative coffee. You may or may not have noticed it kind of got discombobbled, but we intend to meet on October 6th. So if any of you guys have any issues or anything you want me to bring up to them, please let me know so I can convey that. And then we'll be bringing the legislative coffee dates to you at a later time.
Thank you, Ms. Freight.
I just a couple of things I wanted to mention to the public. I want to, again, congratulate the Milan girls swim team in the state rankings, and I'll probably get a text because I might flip the numbers, but the Milan team is ranked 4th and in the state, and Detroit Country Day is ranked 5th, and the girls beat handedly Detroit Country Day last night in Trenton. So that was a really big meet, and the girls were very excited, and there were a lot of great swims. I'm going to thank Ms. Tousley for her presentation tonight and for mentioning the Milan High School Productions Facebook page. I've been seeing those spotlights on the alumni, and it's been really nice to see where everyone has landed and what they're doing now. And I've also been surprised isn't the word, but I'm happy to see not only the impact that the theater program had on so many kids, but then how many kids are still involved in the theater today, including Mr. Betts, who's like traveled the world in productions. And so it's pretty amazing to see all these kids go on and do such amazing things. I asked Mr. Gearbaugh if he could give us an update on where we are in implementing the new library process by which parents can sign up to get notices of the books that their kids are checking out of the library so that can be monitored. And because this is going on in my household, and I know that this deadline is coming upon us like a freight train, I'll remind all parents, if you have a senior, November 1st is the first deadline for the Common App. So if your kids aren't working on that Common App, you got to get going, because it's a lot more complicated than it was when we filled out ours a bazillion years ago. So that deadline's coming.
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Rosenleacher.
I'd like to just mention too, it appears we have great success with our athletics this fall, and big congratulations to our soccer team, who is now ranked 13th in the state. That's fantastic.
Very much so. Again, just a final reminder, please attend the candidate forum tomorrow evening, again here in the auditorium at 7 p.m. It'll also be streamed on the board YouTube channel. So, any other comments this evening? All right, with that, we're adjourned at 7:58.